Are you looking to impress top business schools in the Career Talent interview and need a winning strategy? Then this video is for you. Make no mistake, schools are businesses with profit-oriented goals. They want to offer to applicants who will improve their brand and say yes to their offer. In this video, I'm pulling back the curtain on what schools really want from your Career Talent responses, so you can learn how to stand out while staying true to who you are. Hi, I'm Caitlin Anderson, graduate admissions consultant and Oxford MBA who has helped hundreds of students win interviews and offers to all the top business schools in the world, including Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, and Yale, and win over $1 million in scholarships. When I was applying to get my MBA from the University of Oxford, I flew to England to interview in person. This was before the pandemic, and I met with two business school professors before my interview because I wanted to hear their insights into the Said Business School and the interview. And I'll never forget what one of those professors told me. He said, "Remember, schools are businesses. So frame your responses and ask your questions from that perspective." That stayed with me through the interview, and it's still with me as I'm advising business school applicants. I always tell my students, graduate schools are not neutral evaluators. They are businesses and they have profit-oriented goals. So as an applicant, you are a potential client. When you apply to their programs, you pay a fee usually around $200 to $300 US. But if you are accepted, you choose to enroll, and then you pay the deposit and eventually all of the tuition, that's usually between $60,000 to $200,000 US. So schools are very interested in optimizing their intake processes to make sure they can get to the right customers as quickly as possible. I always teach my students that schools have two primary goals when they are reviewing applications and making offers. And it's really critical that you understand these two goals and keep them in mind as you're going through the application process, because it will affect how you craft each part, including the Career Talent interview. So these two goals are, number one, offer to applicants who will improve their brand, which can be demonstrated in many ways. And number two, offer to applicants who will most likely say yes to their offer and become tuition-paying customers. The Career Talent interview is just one tool that schools use to help them make these calls more efficiently, especially for their high-volume programs like the MBA or the Master in Finance or Master of Science in Business Analytics or the Master in Management. So, in our Career Talent interview, we need to play to these two goals that schools have. We need to show the admissions committee that we will improve their brand and that we will say yes to an offer if they choose to make it. And there are several ways that we can send these messages in our Career Talent interview. So let's talk about the school goal number one. How do we show the admissions committee that we will improve their brand? First is through your presence. You should ask yourself the question, do I look and sound like a current student or alum from the program that I'm applying to? And if you don't know the answer to that question, it means you haven't done enough research or networking. But that's okay because it's an easy fix. What you need to do first is you need to go onto the website and you need to connect with the student ambassadors. Usually there's a little box that will pop up and it asks you if you want to schedule a session with the student ambassador. You should try that. If you can't get in touch with somebody that way, you should reach out to the admissions committee and ask them to put you in touch with a current student. Additionally, you should go on to LinkedIn and you should reach out to people who have recently graduated from the program or who have been out for a while and ask them if they would be willing to share their experience in the program and about their background and their career. People love talking about themselves, so you should give them this opportunity to share their insight with you. And in the process, you are gonna learn a lot about how alumni from this program and this school think, how they speak, how they frame things. That information is crucial to you doing well in the career talent interview and a human interview if you have it, and other parts of the application. So you should absolutely do that work to network with people. Second, we have clarity and confidence. Can you communicate well under pressure? The reason this is important for the admissions committee is because they want to make sure that you will get a job after you graduate from their program, so that they can tell the world that their employment rate is 99% or 96%. So they're asking themselves in the career talent interview, does this person handle the pressure of an interview like this well? And if so, it's gonna be good for you. Third, we have purpose and direction. Are you applying to their program with clear goals and genuine motivation? The reason this question is important for the admissions committee is because they want to align themselves with the change makers, the go-getters, the movers and shakers in every industry that they're concerned with. Those are the people that are going to bring their brand up. So we have to show that we are this person. And with clear, specific goals that we articulate well in the career talent interview, that will start to become apparent to the admissions committee that we are this force of nature in our industry. Now, let's talk about school goal number 2, which is that schools want to make offers to applicants who will most likely say yes to their offer, because they don't want to waste their time on people who are not going to commit to them. So that now becomes our job to convince our admissions committee that we absolutely will say yes to our offer. I'll even let you in on a little personal piece of information about my Oxford MBA interview. In the interview, the deputy dean asked me, if we make an offer to you, will you accept it? And I said, yes, Oxford is my dream school. I would absolutely love to go to Oxford. So that was important to him when he was making his final evaluation as to whether I would be a good fit. Remember, people around the world who are as competitive, sometimes more competitive than us, are wanting to get into these top business schools as well. So I tell my students this, you have to go all in or you won't get in. So you have to do everything you possibly can to convince the admissions committee that they are your top choice, and if given the chance, you will absolutely say yes and enroll. So as the admissions committee is reviewing your career talent interview and they're thinking about whether you would be likely to say yes if they gave you an offer, they're gonna think about the cultural fit. So they wanna know, do you know a lot about their program and about the university, and do you have a personal connection to it, or to the city that it's in, or something else? And this is how we are going to show the admissions committee that we are really connected to their school, and we will say yes if they give us an offer. Okay, now that you understand the strategy better that admissions committees have when they're evaluating your career talent interview and the rest of your application, I want to talk specifically about steps you can take to stand out in your career talent interview. So let's dive into these. First, you need to memorize adaptable stories, both resume and behavioral. You have to first go to your resume and look at every experience that you have listed. And for your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, for your internships or work experiences, your volunteering, your extracurriculars, you need to be able to talk about each one of those items in 10 to 30 seconds. So you can use it as evidence in your career talent responses when you're trying to support a claim you just made. For your behavioral stories, you should think about experiences where you can answer the questions, tell me about a time when you failed, tell me about a time when you innovated, tell me about a time when you worked on a diverse team, tell me about a time when you worked with a difficult colleague, tell me about a time when you faced an ethical dilemma. Next, you need to use the right structure. STARL, buckets, two-part framework. I do a completely separate video that goes into depth into these 3 frameworks that you can use when you're answering Kira Talent questions. I would encourage you to check out this link and learn those frameworks, because that's gonna save you when you get a question that just throws you off, you're not sure how to answer. You build defaults that you can go back to that are gonna be easy for your reviewer to understand what you're saying and where you're going with it. Finally, we need to control the vibe. So when you get a question asking you, tell me about your background or introduce yourself to your future classmates, you should take those opportunities to smile when you say your name. Say, hi, I'm Caitlin. And show a friendly vibe, because that's gonna send the message that you are gonna be a great member of their community, and ultimately you will bring up their brand. The other thing I tell my students to do, which usually catches people a little off guard, is I tell them to be emotionally engaging and vulnerable with the admissions committees. They want to admit humans. They're not looking for robots who are professional and never make a mistake and say everything perfectly. That's not who they're looking for. They're looking for real human beings who have been through a lot. They've been through experiences that have shaped them into who they are, and they want to learn about those experiences and how you handle things. So be willing to say your emotion, to communicate what you felt in that moment where you were failing and you saw that things were going south. Open up to them in that way through the Kira Talent interview, and I'm telling you, it will go well. Now, obviously, you have to be careful about everything that you share. You don't want to get way too personal on something that's not related to your career goals or to the program itself. But if you can find the right balance between giving the personal touch to the answers that you're giving in Kira, it's gonna elevate your Kira responses. Now let's talk about specific steps you can take to satisfy the school goal number 2. First, you need to do extensive research on the school and the program. You need to pore over their website. You need to go specifically to the program pages. You need to read everything about the curriculum. You need to know about all of the innovation labs they have, the study abroad experiences. You need to go to the professors' bios and read what their experience has been. Do they have industry experience? What's their recent research been? And you need to align it with your goals. The reason you do this is because when you get a question where you can feature that knowledge, having those details within your back pocket is gonna be so valuable. The admissions committees go crazy for those kinds of details. So what I'm talking about specifically is you need to be able to name 2 to 3 courses that are either core courses you will have to take or electives that you will choose to take in that program, and they need to be said perfectly by the name that they are on the website. So if it's strategy and execution, that's how you're gonna say it in your response when you're giving a Kira response. Don't say strategic execution. You have to show them that you've done this depth of research and you know exactly which courses you're gonna be taking when you join their program. You need to do the same thing for professors, and I tell my students to memorize 2 professors, their full names, and look at their research and find at least 1 article that you can mention in a response to why our program, why our school, anything that's school specific that you might see in the Kira Talent interview. If you can name a professor in that answer, it's gonna be so good for you. They will just go wild. Wow, oh, they know exactly who's on our faculty and they are really excited to talk to this person. With that kind of detail in the Kira response that you give to the question, why our program? You could mention the specific course that you know a professor teaches, and you say, I really look forward to interacting with this professor because their research aligns perfectly with my career interests. I believe that we could have many meaningful discussions. That kind of detail, the name of the professor, is going to make the admissions committees go wild for your answer. In addition to your deep knowledge on the university and the program, we also want to show them that you have a personal connection to their community. So this is where, when you have the opportunity, you say things like, I was speaking with my best friend who's a current student in your blank program, and they said that they love this professor. Or you can say, throughout my conversations with current students and alumni in this application process, I learned that your school is blank. So what you're trying to do is show them that you have done the work to align yourself with the community that they've already built. Also, we want to show the admissions committee how our values are well aligned with the values of the school and of the country the school is in. So I'll give you a personal example. In my Oxford MBA interview, I told my interviewer that I had grown up romanticizing English culture by reading Jane Austen's novels and watching the movies, and that I always dreamt of coming to England and living there. And that showed my interviewer that I appreciated the English culture. So you can think about adding those kinds of personal touches as well, as long as they're true for you. And that will show the admissions committee that you are really excited about the opportunity of attending their program in the country that they are. That's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. It'll help us to keep the channel going. If you want more personalized guidance, I do offer one-on-one consulting services, and I have created the new Kira Prep Kit that you can check out below. Other than that, I wish you all the best with your Kira Talent interview. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.